Hi, it's Toby from Heavyweight MMA. Today having a chat with MMA fighter and coach from New Zealand, Rod McSwain. Rod was at the top of the hill in MMA, holding titles in Australia, New Zealand and the Asia region while his teammates Kai Kara-France and Dan Hooker were just coming up. Dan even described him as the original Israel Adesanya. Hope you enjoy listening to Rod discuss his path, the evolution of MMA and other interesting topics. If you like the chat, please subscribe on YouTube or give us an ad on Instagram or Facebook. Would be great to have you along for the ride.
Man to man, combat hand to hand, horns locked, ready for the last stand, elbow drops, kicks fade bang. If I connect you, levitate, better settle mate, lights out, knocked out by the heavyweight.
Straight out of Aotearoa, New Zealand, Hot Rod McSwain, kia ora, whakalofu lai atu. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Hey, kia ora, whakalofa, Toby. Good to be here, bro. Good to see you.
Man, as I just mentioned, it's been around a decade since you were in Macau, China, back with the lads. Back then, I believe you were training at Strikeforce with Aaron Boys, back with Sam Brown, Gareth Ely, Dan Hooker, Kai Kara-France, all the boys that have come on to be some household names these days, bro.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's a long time removed from those times, brother. Back then, there were quite a few household names, but even more so now, you got the likes of Dan, Kai, even Mark Abelardo up in 1FC. It's amazing and it's awesome to see the brothers do so well, bro, just on the combat scene, and the ones who deserve it. They put the effort in, bro. They put the time in, and man, Kai. How about Kai though in his last win? Amazing. What's he now? Number 2, number 3 in the world. Man, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. It's great to see. Like, especially from my perspective, being here, seeing you guys in those early days fighting in Legend FC, back when you actually had the title. You're the first, was it welterweight champ, right? First welterweight champ of Legend FC. Back in 2011, you took the title in Hong Kong, I believe, against the Korean called Kim Hoon. How did that feel back then, bro?
Oh, that was amazing, bro. That was actually took that fight on 2 weeks' notice. It was the late replacement in the 8-man tournament. So there's a couple of guys from Japan. There was an Aussie in there. I wasn't actually part of the 8-man, but when the finalists got injured, they called me up. They said, Rod, you want to jump from the undercard to the main? Jump from the co-main event to the main event. And I talked to the coaches, and at the time I was training in Brisbane with Adrian Pang and Dan Higgins and the team there at Integrated. Awesome team. Just finished my camp at Strikeforce, so I went over the 3 weeks with them, and I made sure to talk to Aaron, Carl, and Adrian and Dan Higgins first, and they all said, "Go for it." So took the fight 2 weeks, and bro, what a hard fight that was, man. Kim Hoon, he's no joke, bro. He hits hard, and I think he unfortunately knocked out the Aussie guy. Bro, it's just the name's gone off my head at the moment. Knocked him out in the quarterfinals, and he nearly did the same to me in round 1 in our fight. But winning that fight, bro, that was big for me in my career. That was massive. Winning that Legend title,
For sure, man.
That was massive, bro. Yeah.
And watching that fight, man. I mean, he dropped you in the first round, but you dropped him later in that round. You also dropped him in the second round, man. But these Koreans, man, I don't know if anyone's watched Koreans fight. I would say as a general rule, they are zombies, like Korean zombie, man. They take massive hits and they keep coming forward, right?
They'll never experience anything like that. I've never been hit that hard in my life, and I thought I could put him away with a couple of hits, and that he wasn't going down or he wasn't going out. So it was testing, bro. It was testing, but better for it, man. Yeah, awesome.
And then after that, the first time I actually saw your fight was in Macau. You fought a guy called Myung Ho Bae. Again, putting your title defense, and that fight was a bit tougher. He had a good ground style, right? And he took you down in the second and third, which kind of got him the win, yeah.
Yeah, it was, bro. That was a tough fight. I thought I was doing all right round 1. Actually, traveling over, had a bit of a tummy bug going in, but bro, I don't want to say any excuses, bro. There's, Bay was tough, man, and I don't think me and my team we weren't prepared for the ground onslaught, bro. We thought it was going to be a bit more of a stand-up fight, and bro, he took advantage, and man, I'm glad I didn't get finished, but bro, that that was a tough fight and a tough result to take, man. Just coming off the win, and first title defense with a loss, bro. That was tough, man.
That's it. It's tough. Man, looking at your record, like you had quite an active time in 2009, 7 fights, 2010, 4 fights, 2011, 3 fights, and then you dropped off, man, for several years, and another one in 2017. Can you talk about like what happened in that time after 2011? What did you do? What stopped you from fighting?
Yeah, there was a number of things, because I guess back then, Toby, there was no mixed martial arts gym which offers everything. We didn't have, although we had a few coaches in kickboxing, boxing, and there was a few mixed martial arts coaches. At that time, when I flew over to fight for the Legend title, I was actually the head coach at Strikeforce, and I had been doing the sport for maybe 1 year until I became the head coach at Strikeforce. In the MMA department, Aaron Boys ran the stand-up, and our trainer Kyoto, Rarotongan guy, really good fellow. He said, "Hey boys, I'm leaving. Rod's gonna take over." And I says, "Bro, I've been doing this for 1 year. How the hell am I supposed to take over?" And he says, "Well, who else is gonna take the roles?" And so I thought, "Oh, okay. Oh well." So we kind of, rather than me play head coach, we kind of was more of a collective. You know, Dan came on board. We had Gareth, we had Pat Crawley, Sam Brown, and we all kind of coached each other, looked after each other. And but there was no overall head coach who looked after us. We had Carl Weber in Christchurch, who helped to manage and oversee the team. But on the ground, it was us. We kind of coached each other, and we were all quite new to the sport. Pat had a good background in wrestling, boxing. Sam had a good league background, and Gareth with his judo was awesome. Me and Dan were coming off rugby and league backgrounds, you know, so we try to transfer the team ethos, add a bit of YouTube, a little bit of what we've learned, but a little bit of what we've seen and work in fights and our own fights, and we freestyled a lot of it. So leading up to some of my later fights, coaching and fighting, it becomes hard. You need someone to oversee your performance. I understand that in any camp or in any type of training, you're the person who surrounds yourself with the right coaches, you know. But so the part that was missing for me was the overall MMA coach, the overall head MMA coach. I didn't have that. And Dan moved overseas, and he managed to find that in Asia. Kai did the same. They went over to Tiger, and I stayed, and I tried a little bit, but I was juggling, coaching, and fighting. And I had a son at the time. I think my son was maybe 7 or 8, and his mum was overseas. She went overseas to Australia to live, and so it was me and my son, Deshaun. And so I thought, well, rather than travel and attempt to raise Dash and work at the same time, take a bit of time off fighting, concentrate on him, concentrate on me, and maybe other aspects of my career, and try to start a family, and started doing all that. And yeah, there was no injuries. Just life kind of just progressed as per normal, and my priorities came away from fighting and directed towards family, friends, bit of career. And yeah, bro, just kind of progressed like that. And as I got a bit older, the boys came back from Asia, and I thought, right, the boys are back, Dan's back, Kai's back. And we had moved from a Strikeforce space over to city kickboxing under Eugene Behrman and Doug Viney. And then so while I was whenever Dan would come back or Kai would come back, I'd just go and jump in the training camp with them and help them out, and in turn learn what they've learned as well. So when they came back, city kickboxing became the new home. Eugene's good enough to take anyone who wanted to learn and continue. We all came through, guys from all over New Zealand, all over Australia. And we had an awesome mixed martial arts team, best in the South Pacific, best in the Southern Hemisphere, best in the world. And I just trained with the boys there, and it was awesome environment, really good learning. You know, you just dedicated a lot of time to coaching his art, refining it, and he enjoys sharing it, which is you don't see a lot. And I guess the natural gym culture is our fighters stay here, your fighters over there. We don't mix. We learn what we learn, you learn what you learn, and we'll test it in the ring against each other. But that mentality in mixed martial arts doesn't work, because being such a young sport and New Zealand being so small, you know, we need the boxer's knowledge, we need the wrestler's knowledge, we need the jiu-jitsu guy's knowledge. And as a mixed martial artist, I'm not going to pay for each different gym $50 a week for every membership. As a fighter, you can't afford that. So you need the good people around you, and you need to be a good person yourself to go and seek and get the advice, get the training. And fortunately enough, Eugene had done that. He had done his jits training, his boxing under Lolo, and his wrestling under all sorts of people. And he had put it in under one roof where you could come and you could learn 90% of what you need to know about mixed martial arts. If you wanted to fight, if you wanted to train, lose weight, whatever, it became a bit of a hub for Aucklanders, New Zealanders, Australians. We got people from the UK coming over to City Kickboxing to train under Huge and Doug. And bro, to take that 10 years ago, if we had that 10 years ago, you know,
your path would have been very different, right?
You know, like, you know, a lot of things would have happened differently, but it didn't happen like that. It's happened like this, and it's good. It's a good thing, you know. And I'm just still glad that Dan and Kai and the other boys are still able to still have enough time left to make that push for the title, bro, and for that #1 spot, because ultimately that's the goal, right? Whenever we started any kind of fight competition, the goal was to be the best, you know.
Yeah, man.
Just a passion, yeah.
And in 2017, you had one fight, and then I heard you in 2019 also talking about potentially fighting. What happened that stopped you jumping in around then?
Yeah, I had a good fight in 2017. It was at home. I haven't fought at home in years. I just forgot what it was like. It was awesome. And just over the next few years, you realize that a fight training camp, man, it takes about 2 to 3 trainings a day for 8 to 10 weeks. And just training in general takes up a lot of time if you want to do it consistently, at least once a day. And where I was in my life with my son, with my wife, and with my career, I had to make a few sacrifices, and one of those was chop my training in half. I couldn't, ideally, if we could train, we'd train every day, twice a day. Had to chop that down a bit. And then going into fights now, back in the day, bro, you'd see that I had 12 fights in 2 years. You know, I just take fights back to back to back, you know, a bit younger, a bit stronger, a bit more athletic, and the body could take it, bro. But as you get older, you got to approach things a little bit differently. You know, you can't take knocks to the head as well as you could. You don't really even should. And there's just so much more to think about leading into a fight camp, like cutting weight, bro. You know, people get a lot less patient. It's pretty much when you're in camp, your whole life goes on hold, and that could be north of 2 to 3 months at a time. So I weighed it up and I thought, man, you know, if I really want to have another go at this, I got to drop nearly everything and just go for it, and do everything else in my life will take a semi back foot until the fight's done, and then back to training. So at that time I thought, well, I'll leave it. I'll try and build up my my career, build up my business, start doing a bit more coaching. My son's had a couple of kickboxing fights and a boxing fight. Some of his mates have, and I'll start up a bit of a gym, bit of a training program, and I do a bit of youth work as well. So a lot of that stuff, I enjoy doing that. I enjoy the coaching, and I enjoy the sharing of the knowledge, and I enjoy the learning as well. So that to me is taking a forward step, where fighting for myself, like the fighting part, has taken the back step. The learning will always continue. You know, martial artists, we enjoy the process, the journey. The fighting is just a test. And if I want a hard test, I'll turn up to sparring on a Saturday or a Monday, and headgear on, mouth guard in, and I'll go and find Dan or find one of the boys and test myself that way.
Yeah, man. It's a big decision to make, right? Because it's a massive risk just to put all your eggs in that one basket of fighting, and at the elementary stages of MMA or early pro career, and that there's not a lot of money in it too, right? And like you said, you've got to sacrifice everything. So it's a big ask to take that on, especially when you have your family, you have other priorities. And if you have a business as well, it's very difficult, right?
Yeah, it's tough. It's doable. And with the right people around you, it's definitely doable. With my wife, she's so supportive. And my son, he's older now, that, I'm in a position now where I could go back down that route. I'm not crazy old. What am I, 35? So I might have a run at it. It's just the mindset's a little bit different. Whereas younger, early stages of your career, man, that you're number one, you're the best, you're the strongest, you're the fittest. No one can beat you. That mindset. Now the mindset's a little bit different. You can compete with the top guys. It's just you got to approach it differently. And longevity is a big thing that huge teaches, and we got to adopt that. You can't just be walking forward, taking hits. You can't just be hammering your body week in, week out. So longevity is massive. And what's the longevity for? It's for your life. So I'm just trying to live a bit more life, learn a bit on the way. And bro, if the opportunity comes up, I want to get back into fighting, man, why not? It's I feel like I do all right with the boys at the gym, so that's a good precursor as to a potential fight in the future, bro. Yeah.
Dan mentioned like that when he was kicking off, you were at the top of the hill, man. He actually described you as the first Israel Adesanya or something like that, right? That you were the top of the hill. You were the champ in New Zealand, Australia, Hong Kong, Macau area. And, those guys were looking up to you. Does it ever get to you, like, there's a bit of ego in fighting. Does it ever get to you like that you'd really like to be one of those lads over fighting in the UFC and, being at the top of the game?
Bro, for us, man, when we were fighting at Legend, when we were fighting in Asia, when we were competing in Australia, for us at the time, bro, it was massive. The gateway then to something like the UFC was very hard. Like there just wasn't one. It was so hard for Dan to even break into the UFC. Nowadays, it's with social media, with just the global outreach, with the Ultimate Fighter, things like that. It's not, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's definitely clear cut. Get a few fights on the trot, advertise yourself via social media, and do a few tags, and you might get a chance. First, win your region kind of thing. For us, it was beat New Zealand, beat Australia. What's next? For us, opportunity come up in Asia. So it was Asia. And then when we thought we'd done that, what's next? Okay, now we have to go over to the States. So it was kind of like Street Fighter. You fly around the planet and fight in different countries. And there was no clear-cut path to the UFC. So I felt at the time, the champions of the time, New Zealand, Australia, and in Asia, I kind of rate them up there with the guys who are doing it in the UFC at the moment. Just because you're fighting in a different promotion doesn't mean you're not as good as some of the other guys around, like some of the top guys in ONE FC at the moment. And I think ONE FC has actually more broadcasting more viewership than the UFC at the moment. And they got some amazing fighters there.
Yeah, man. You mentioned Mark Abelardo before. I love seeing that guy fight, man. He brings it. I just wish the record would reflect how good he is and get him over to the UFC, man. Just because I know you said ONE FC's it's got the good viewership, but people watch that one. It's got more fame, UFC. I just love to see him fight there because he'd be a crowd favorite 100%, man.
Oh, definitely. I watched a couple of his fights recently. It's just awesome to watch. I love the elbows. Shucks.
He just smashes people. He goes out to take over, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, he's, man, I hope he does well in one, and then if he gets a call up on UFC, either or. If not, no worries. But man, it'd be good to see him, because him and Kai, they kind of came up similar time, you know, they were the young fellas. They actually had a tag team fight here in Auckland, where it was kickboxing, and they were on the same team, and I was the coach, and I had just been one of our coaches, Ruben Wiki. He's a Kiwi legend, former captain and former Warriors captain, and he organized us to have a lot of kava on a Friday or a Saturday, kava session. It's an island drink made out of the kava root, and it's got certain elements of it can have similar effects to alcohol, not as bad, and it's more natural.
I see, I see Lolo Hemuli has a few of these kava sessions these days every now and again. I see it pop up on Facebook.
Yeah, shucks, yeah. I need to do one with them soon. And we did one with Ruben. I think it was me, Dan. I actually put up a photo just on my Facebook. It's got Ruben Wiki holding a coconut shell with kava in it, and we were holding ours up. And I had too much. Kava. And then driving down to the fight show, man, I was struggling. And when I got there, Kai and Mark Abalado, they were ready to fight. And I said, "Yep, get in there, boys." They went in. First round over, they come back to the corner, and it was a close fight. And they says, "Oh, Rod, what's the plan? What do you reckon?" And I was all covered up, and I says, "Oh, okay, boys, just go hard." That's all I could say, man. I could hardly watch the thing. So yeah, bro. But they ended up winning. They ended up winning a title, both Mark and Kai that night. It was a good night, if I could remember. Yeah, don't have too much kava, Toby. So everything in small amounts, bro.
Something I got to try one day, man. I got to get down to New Zealand to try. Speaking about that, I actually got down to the gym at CKB once before, like a couple of years back, before all the COVID stuff happened. And I got to see, it's such a beautiful setup, man. I just did a little bit of training. I met Dan again there and watched Dan train a bit, and then watched one of the sparring classes. Just incredible, the amount of people and the level of talent within that room. It was like, I've said before to people, you're watching the room, there was like, I don't know, 50 plus people or something in there sparring, and Dan and Israel are in there. But the thing is, they're not standing out. If you don't know who they are, they're not standing out because there's talent all through the room, which is it's pretty high level to have that many people together that all are a good level of talent, right?
Oh, bro, it's incredible. You know, like the young fellas, you got to be switched on. If you're not switched on, if you're going in thinking you're having a casual session, you got another thing coming. Some of these young fellas, they're quick, man. They're quick, and just like us back in the day, they are hungry. So if ever they get a chance to get a one up on any of the boys, you know, they'll take it. So you got to be on. Yeah.
That's good, man. Hey, and you mentioned before about Eugene and how he's brought everything together and good trainer. You actually fought Eugene back in the day and beat him, right?
Yeah, we seeing that first year of fighting, there was a few promotions here in New Zealand, but rather than that, everyone knew who the top guys were. Everyone knew that Dan Digby was one of the best guys in New Zealand, and everyone knew that Eugene was the number one guy because he had a blue belt, purple belt, and he did a bit of wrestling, and he was a kickboxing champion, South Pacific. So they were the guys to beat, and I was just coming off a bit of rugby training, bit of league training with a few fights in a row, a few wins in a row, and then we got booked up to fight each other, and I was, you know, no one wanted to fight Huge. No one really wanted to fight Dan Digby. So my coaches, I just trust my coaches. They said, "Yep, you're fighting this guy. We'll train for it." So we trained hard, and Huge trained hard, and it was real unfortunate. The first strike of the fight, Eugene, he feinted a low kick, and I checked. I reacted and I checked. There was no kick. He feinted it. I checked, and then later on, he didn't feint. He just threw a full low kick, really hard. And you know, again, I checked. I didn't lift my foot off the ground, and I just checked. And unfortunately, both bones in Eugene's shin snapped in half, and the fight was called off. You know, and then so it was kind of an anticlimax, the worst possible situation where one of us got actually quite hurt and couldn't continue. It happened, you know. So I didn't land a punch. He didn't land anything. I just blocked a kick, and the fight was called off there and then. And then that's how I got the New Zealand title like that. So it was really anticlimactic, bro.
So his
it was
tibia,
horrible. Yeah,
the shin bone, the tibia, and the fibula both broke.
they both snapped in half, and
Jesus.
poor Huge was in so much pain. And then speaking to him later on, like if you talk to him now about it, he puts it down to overtraining, and just putting your body,
right?
yeah, overtraining and just the weakening of the body when you train too much, too often, you know.
You just say he needs to drink more milk and that your bones are just too strong. Is that?
Well, nah, bro, you know, like not even that, you know, like we were both in good nick. And then you got to understand, Eugene's had over north 20 kickboxing fights at a high level, South Pacific titles. And I've seen him finish guys with leg kicks, hitting super, super hard. So there's no way that my shin's harder than another kickboxing champion shin. And there's no way that I got better technique. And there's, you know, it's just, you know, he told me later on that the amount of training that he went through, he thinks that it's worn his body down, and it can do that, you know. If you're not recovering properly from training, if you're not getting the right sleep in and having the right nutrition, you're definitely weakening your body. You're not strengthening it, you know. We need to
100%.
get as much recovery as we do work. And so he puts it down to that, and I agree with him, you know. Like, you know, overtraining was a thing back in the day. These days we have strength and conditioning coaches who can tell us how much to condition, when to go, when to stop. We have a heart rate monitor that as soon as you get into, you can wake up in the morning and check it. And if it's in the red zone, you don't train that day. If it's in the orange or green zone, you know you got the pass to train. And when you can go hard and when you need to taper off. But we had none of that. So we just thought, go hard or go home, you know, and at the detriment of our bodies, you know.
Yeah, man. Like you mentioned about the gyms changing so much. Like before, trying to piece it together was difficult. Now you've got the places like CKB as the best example with everything together. It's the same with what you mentioned, how much the sport has evolved, right? Like before there was none of that. Like no one really knew about diet. No one really knew about, you know, that strength and conditioning side, rest and recovery. You know, everything has moved on so much. Could you talk about that a bit? Like what things have kind of changed in your time in the sport?
Yeah, well, a good example, bro, is when we were fighting in New Zealand, and I think I was the biggest welterweight. I'd walk around at about 83, 84. I'd train, and then I'd naturally cut to maybe 81, 82 just through training. And then I'd lose another 3 to 4 liters on fight week just to get to 77. And then I'd get back to about 83, 82 on the fight. Now, that's what we knew here in New Zealand, and we were following protocol of kickboxing. Now, Australia was doing similar stuff, you know, everything came off kickboxing, wrestling. That's how you do it. Now, when we came over to Legend, they were cutting 10 liters of water in a week. We were cutting 3 or 4. So we couldn't believe the size of some of these guys. When I fought Kim Hoon, I seen him at the weigh-ins, and I was like, oh, okay. Then I seen him in the fight. He was huge.
Yeah, I noticed. And I think massive, eh?
He was huge. I think I was about 83, and I knew he was over 90 kilos. You know, so I was like, oh my, this is insane. And even my second fight there, and it was only after that where I realized that, man, we need the right guys, and how are these guys doing this? And we didn't know that I guess with the drip, with hydration, we weren't using the drip. We were just hydrating naturally. But the drip, man, people are putting on 10 liters, you know, the next day, you know, which is, it's not healthy, but it's doable. And if it's for a fight and if it gives you an edge, hey, there was no rules against it. So I can't complain too much, but I'm telling you, man, I was 82 in there and I was fighting against a guy who was nearly 92. And that's more than 10% of my body weight. And I could feel it on the punches. You could feel it in the strength. So we had to make a decision. Do we cut down or do we bulk up and learn? So fast forward to my last fight, I fought at 71. Okay. I wasn't as big as I normally was going into Legend, but I trained myself to lose a bit of weight naturally and through training. And on fight week, I was 78, and I cut all the way down to 71 in 4 days. And then when I fought, I was back at 82. So, and that was just with the science, the right coaches. Sue Gullery, she really helped me out with that one. And Geordie Sullivan, he's helped me continue with dieting and nutrition.
Yeah, Geordie's the fight dietitian, right? He's up in everything now, right? It seems every person I talk to either knows him well or uses him.
So he's next level, that guy, bro. And that's his job. You know, he's got the science, he's got the degrees, he's put on the work, and he's tested it himself, and he's tested on his fighters. So he's the man. And bro, the awesome thing about Geordie is he's a nice guy. He's a super nice guy. You know, it's almost like he's a Kiwi, not an Aussie. It's weird.
We're all right, bro. Yeah. Hey, the other thing, bro, talk about the thing you mentioned before as well, which is something that sticks in my mind from when I was younger. We used to just not know anything about closed head injuries and that. It was just all like, we knew people could get punch drunk, right? But we didn't know the dangers of like really large amounts of head contact. So we just go in and spar hard a lot, and people just didn't really know the risk. But people know a bit more now, right, about CTE and whatever. And there's different things people do to try and like avoid getting that heavy head damage. Could you talk on that one a bit?
Bro, that's incredible, bro. Like, that's probably the biggest one, the biggest shift from back then to now. Well, not even so much now. People now, if you were to go on the street and talk to fighters and ask them about their recovery plan for a concussion, they might not be able to give you an answer. That was the case 10 years ago, and it's a little bit better now. But I guess Dan was the guy who first brought it to my attention. He started talking about concussion and recovery and protocol and return to play protocol. And then, so I started looking into it. And the reason I looked into it was because in New Zealand, and probably around other parts of the world, they run boxing promotions called corporate fights, corporate fight nights. Okay, and I was, as a fighter and as a coach, that's something that we can run here. So I'd get a team of 20 on each side, red corner, blue corner, team of 20. I'd train them up for a couple of months, and then I'd put them against each other. And then, you know, what happened in New Zealand prior to when I started running it, things like this, people were getting knocked out. At least a third of the fights were getting finished in these corporate events run by a few different companies here in New Zealand. And it didn't matter because they didn't care. The promotions didn't care. The coaches cared a bit, but they were getting paid. As long as the tables were getting sold and the promotion or the charity was making money at the expense of head injuries for everyday people. And you got to understand, these are everyday people. These aren't fighters. So they don't understand about control. They don't understand about, you know, fight or flight, or, you know, being able to move and evade punches as well as professional fighters. So I've seen at least a third of people getting knocked out heavily in all the corporate events I've ever been to. So I saw that. And then a guy actually in Christchurch passed away. Yeah, a guy passed away. And then the next week, about 3 of these corporate fight night shows, they closed down. They says, oh, since someone's passed away, you know, we're not going to run these shows anymore out of respect. You know, we care about the safety, blah, blah, blah. If that guy didn't pass away, I guarantee you these shows would still be going on. That year that they shut down was the year I started. I started running these events, and people ask me, Rod, that's pretty full on. You're going to start running an event similar template to what's been going on, and these guys have shut down. And I says, no, very different. For one, they outsource. They get one gym versus another gym. These fighters don't ever meet each other, and they fight on. They just turn up and beat the crap out of each other. Yeah. If one guy can't make it, they just call up and find another guy to fill in, because they've already sold a $5,000 table. They're not going to cancel the fight. They're going to find anyone on Facebook or anywhere advertise and get a fill in at the detriment of whoever. We don't do that. We match them up. They train together under the same gym. We make matches at the end of the camp after everyone's already sparred each other, become semi-comfortable with each other. You know what it's like sparring someone, you know, you know them a bit more, you're a bit more comfortable, you can bring it up and you can bring it down. You've got a stranger against a stranger, that's not happening. Okay. And our ethos isn't about knocking someone out, it's about showing your skill you've learned in the 12 weeks and display that in front of your friends and family rather than going out and trying to hurt someone. And I'm ringside, we got professional refs, judges, I'm ringside, and if someone needs to bring it up, I jump up, give them a bit of confidence to bring it up. If someone needs to bring it down, I ask them, bro, you need to bring it down a little bit until the other person's more comfortable, and then you can bring it up together. And we've had no knockouts in the last 3 shows we've run, and I'm running one end of this year. So in saying that, that's how we take care of head injuries to do with combat sports with the public. With fighters, especially on sparring night and drilling, I always, and even the boys and even the other coaches, we always say, anything to the body, you can hit hard. Anything to the head, have more control. We're not trying to go out there and hurt people. So sparring and drilling, more control to the head and to the body and to the legs, bro, go for it, you know, like within reason, right? And you have a few captains and enforcers in the gym, and all the boys, we're all enforcers. See someone going hard, you let the other person know. As long as it's Dan's got this system where intensity level, you know, I take it to a 4, he brings it to a 4, I take it to a 5, he goes to a 6, we go together. But at no stage are we at a 2, I go to a 3, he goes to a 9. You know, it doesn't work like that. That's when people get hurt. So it's kind of like a dance in a sense, where we try and, you know, progress the intensity level together and reduce it together, you know. And as long as the communication's open that way, it's so much less likely to get hurt. But around head injuries, around the protocol, you know, we have a concussion clinic here in New Zealand, a dedicated one, and I've just put Eugene and Doug in touch with them, and I hope they follow up and upskill, and I think they have, because I went in for a session. My wife put me onto it, and I'm lucky that I've never been knocked out, but that doesn't matter because I've still had concussion. So they assessed me and they told me, Rod, your left eye is not as reactive as your right eye. We can see that you're semi-moving like a robot, and we think that's due to a few head knocks. The good thing is, under pressure, they tested me under pressure. Under pressure, you're reacting normally, if not better, on a high level. So similar to your fighting, I guess when you're at home and relaxed and at work, you're not on, your symptoms aren't affecting you. But when in sparring or in a fight, everything's switched on. So that's a good thing. If you want to work on this, Rod, we can bring you back and help you with it. If you want to leave it, that's fine, but we don't need to see you again. Whereas other people, if they come in, we're going to probably need to work with them, see them, and then help deal with symptoms if it's affecting them. And I'm a mild case. You know, we know people who have serious symptoms, and a good mate of mine, he's actually hurt his head at work, and he's going through some pretty full-on symptoms at the moment. And he's telling me he's gone to so many different specialists, and they just don't really know what they're doing. Everyone's referring him to someone else, and it's done full circle 3 times. No one really wants to help him. So I've put him in touch with this concussion clinic here in Auckland.
That's good.
Yeah.
For you or your friend or other friends around, what sort of symptoms have you seen from sort of, you know, being in the fight game for a long time? I know myself, I feel like I suffer a little bit from some memory loss, maybe a little bit of you know, a bit more emotional than I probably should be sometimes, like easy to get angry in that. They say that can be a, you know, a symptom of CT and multiple concussions and that. What have you seen?
Yeah, so I haven't seen a crazy amount. I've heard it's one of those things, bro. There's a bit of a stigma around it, and if you're not open, you got to really trust someone to let them know, you know, because mood swings come and go. And like, bro, I know people who've never done combat sports with ridiculous mood swings, right? Headaches are massive, and I've had a few guys speak to me about excessive headaches, brain fog. Brain fog's a big one. And then, like, I guess a more intense version of brain fog would bring on that memory loss, bro, either short term or long term. And then on accounts of even rugby players, and I watched a few docos here in New Zealand, and there's some older rugby players who have just forgotten some of their rugby games, and they're not even that old. They're 60s and 50s. Some of them have, just forgotten years of rugby they've played, and they're putting it down to excessive concussions without the right recovery. So I guess with concussions, it's just like anything. You hurt your knee, you break your leg, you can't walk on that leg. You get a concussion, you shouldn't be thinking, you shouldn't be reading, you shouldn't be on your phone, you shouldn't be doing homework, you shouldn't be at school, you shouldn't be working. Your brain needs to rest. You shouldn't be watching TV. You shouldn't be processing information at a high rate. And you wouldn't be running on your leg. The same goes for your brain. You just need to recover. And one of the protocols were go a day or 2 days without symptoms, with full rest, and then move to the next level. 30 minutes to an hour of moderate activity. You can do that for a few days without symptoms, go to the next level, hour to 2 hours, until you can get back to full force. Now, if at any stage you experience symptoms, you got to start from the beginning. Now, this process could take a week, this process could take 3 years, but if we don't follow that process, the concussions are going to come on easier and they're going to get worse. So, and then I think here in New Zealand and around the world, we just don't respect it. People want their best players to play. Fighters want to fight. Coaches want their best fighters to fight. We want him playing, we want him fighting. There's a few fighters and a few coaches who know a lot about this, and Lolo was talking about this a long time ago, and even huge, and they talk about, well, they see symptoms in guys and they just tell them to have a couple of months off or stop sparring for a few months. And then, this is, Lolo was telling me about this years ago. He was doing this, and this is before all the knowledge and concussion had come in, but he had already thought about all this. So that's crazy, bro.
Yeah, man. No, that sounds good, man. I know a few people. Actually, one friend just now's just been pulled out of a fight because of a concussion in the week before his fight. And I might talk to him about that, see if he knows all about those protocols. They are taking it seriously, but I'm not sure at what level, whether they're taking it as far as you mentioned, which sounds like a good way to follow, just to make sure your longevity in a sport and just have a healthy sort of life. Sounds good.
Yeah, there's a clip on YouTube, bro, and it's Dan put me on to a couple of guys. There's a few doctors, and it's called Return to Play Protocol. Return to fighting, return to play, return to school. That's the same doctor. He's released a few videos, bro, and he breaks it down really easily for people to understand. And just have a look, bro, and it's pretty good. And get your mate to check it out. So I send that to all my athletes to tell me they've hit their head or they've taken a hard knock. I'm like, just straight away, bro, take some time off, watch this video, and then follow protocol, and come back when you're feeling good.
Sounds perfect, man. Hey, I've got quite a lot of questions in that before that I wanted to kind of go through, which you haven't really got there because you've got a lot of things to say. You got a good sort of thinking head on you, man. It'd be good to get if I can catch you another time. But for now, I've just got a list of some questions that I'm going to start asking a few different fighters and get some compilations together. So just give me some short answers for these questions. Some interesting, some stupid. So firstly, having trained for so long, what are your sort of tips for people to be motivated and get into training, or whether it be, any type of exercise or whatever? How would you say is a good way to get motivated?
I just read a quote yesterday and it said, "Master, I'm discouraged. What can I do?" And the master's response was, "Encourage others." So, you start picking up people around you, in turn they pick you up. So that comes from that community vibe. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Days you'll be there for them, and other days when you're off, they'll be there for you, bro. So yeah, that's it. The community, like-minded. That's
perfect, man. Perfect. Tips for, because you guys are very in tune with your bodies and really worked on your body, I just want any tips for true sort of health, overall health. What sort of tips do you have for that?
Yeah, I actually been reading Paul Chek. You probably know of Paul Chek. He's amazing, and I think he puts it down to sleep, water, physical activity, getting outside and breathing, bro. And if you can look into those and get those done without the necessary sleep, you're never going to recover from anything. You know, without drinking water and eating the right foods, bro, you're never going to feel good. You know, and you don't have to train excessively, but you know, training could be going for a walk, going for a ride, going for a cycle. But I feel minimum 3 times a week of doing 30 minutes of activity, minimum 3 times a week, with enough sleep, bit of outdoor time, and natural foods, bro, natural foods. And then can't go wrong with that, bro. That's how we've been living for the last few thousands of years, and it ain't gonna change now.
Sounds perfect, man. Best street fight story, be it yourself or be it someone else. Do you have any street fights, man?
Dan might already covered this one. What did Dan say?
No, I haven't asked him that question. This is kind of a new idea. I asked him some of the questions here, but not all of them.
Okay, bro. Well, how about this? Me, Dan, Gareth, Pat Crawley. You remember Pat, yeah?
Yeah.
And Dan's coach at the time, John Olsen. We all went over to Australia. I fought for the welterweight title. Pat fought for the middleweight title. Dan fought for the lightweight title. Yeah, against Aussies. We all fought Aussies except me. I fought Dan Digby. He's a Kiwi guy, good fellow. I won. Pat won. Pat beat the hometown king, and Dan was smoking this guy and unfortunately got caught in a sub and he lost. We went out that night to the local pub. 4 or 5 of us. My old man was there, and man, I don't want to say too much. Pat gives me his money to look after. He goes, Rod, hold on to my pay before I spend it all. I said, okay. So I put it away. And then he asked, Rod, I need more money. I was like, oh, you're only getting X amount. Give him. He goes to the bar, puts down a couple of hundred on the bar, comes back with a bread tray full of Jack and Cokes. We down all of them, bro. And all of a sudden, the guy that Pat fought, his whole support team was there. They hated Pat. This is their best mate, their king, the local hero. So they start telling Pat, you didn't win. You're all shit. You're rubbish, no good. And Pat's like, oh, is that right? Fuck you. And then so me, Dan, Gareth, like, hey, get out of here. And we ended up getting kicked out of the bar, except for Pat. Pat stayed in with these guys. And so we went down the road. And then sure enough, a couple minutes later, we hear some commotion up the road. Oh shit, John Olsen comes running down. Pat's in a fight. He's getting jumped by these guys. So we run up and Pat's got a ripped shirt, got a black eye, but he's swinging. And he's fighting there's about 8 to 10 of these guys, and he's just swinging, going nuts. So we get there. Hey man, we clean up, send some guys running. I think Gareth's doing takedowns or head kicks. Dan's boxing some guys, and John Olsen's laying guys out. And sure enough, there was no guys left, and then the cops start to arrive. So we think, oh shit, we got to get out of here. Pat's all torn up, bleeding. He goes, where are you going? He was like, man, we got to go. So we took off. Pat stayed. We came back. Cops left, and we thought, oh, bro, you didn't get arrested. And he goes, well, they left. You guys left. I stayed. Who are the cops going to believe? Me or nobody? And funny story, Pat's he's actually a cop here in NZ. So so he got more beat up in that fight than he did in his 5-rounder for the title.
That's funny, but your group doesn't sound like a good group to pick a fight with anyway.
Bro, I don't know what these guys are thinking, man. There was 5 of us, bro, and we knew how to throw down.
That's it. Man, next one is best street fight technique.
Grappling, bro. Arm drag to rear naked choke. No head trauma, no nothing.
The old security move, right? Spin them around, choke.
Oh, bro, yeah. You and Carl know the deal, bro. I've seen a couple of guys slinging off at each other, take a few punches at me, quick arm drag, take the back, and then you let them know. You say, oh, you're going to calm down, and they're not. No, calm down. Then you put them to sleep. Then you walk them nicely to a chair, sit them in a chair. They wake up, just rub their shoulders a bit, let them know, well, you can either jump up now or you're going back to sleep. Oh, sorry, you can either calm down or you're going back to sleep. So they real quick choose to stay calm, and you just hang there with them for a little bit. got to look after people later.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you can judge your character. You could have said like, punch him in the throat or something. You're saying, put him down nicely. You're a nice guy. Hey, if you can choose just one martial art to learn, which one would it be?
Whoa, bro, that's tough, man. That's a tough one. One that I've done, I'd say I haven't done Sambo. I thought Sambo might be pretty good because it covers a few bases. And I know that the Chinese Sanshao is a Sanshao that covers takedowns as well as striking. That would be pretty good. But for me personally, after I did grappling, either Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, after I did a little bit of that, I really thought that I could handle myself against nearly anyone. So I felt that 2 months of Jiu-Jitsu nearly every day, I felt with a bit of strength training and a bit of athleticism, just was so good for me. And I actually had my first fight after 2 months of training, and then most of my training was Jits. So I feel any kind of grappling, less head trauma, more control. For a one-on-one situation, yeah, maybe not against a bunch of people, but for safety for women in a one-on-one situation, confidence for men, and yeah, just awareness of your body as well. Yeah,
man,
some form of grappling. Yeah,
cool. What's the true value of learning martial arts / MMA?
I think learning, what you just said, the learning part, the value of it is just learning. I like the word, sounds cheesy, but self-discovery. I guess with confidence, you can let go of a lot of anxiety. And that's what confidence is, right? Letting go of our fears. And you strip away, the more fears you strip away, the more life you want to live. And to be honest, combat sports and martial arts really, really helps with that. The calmest people you meet are going to be high-level martial artists, high-level combat sports people. Those are the most chill people you'll meet. Why? Because they don't have so many fears. They're not scared about being hurt so much, so they can let their guard down. You talk to some of these guys. I understand there's a few that aren't, but those guys, maybe they're just nursing insecurities which they haven't dealt with yet. But just the journey of learning and overcoming fear and discovering your true self, bro, which you probably couldn't do if you're scared of everything.
True, man. Four stupid questions to finish. Someone gives you an elephant, you can't sell it or give it away. What do you do with it?
Shucks, bro. Set it free in the wild, bro.
That's too nice, man. All right. Compare yourself to an animal. What would it be and why?
Oh my gosh. Let's go. I like the water. Bro, let's go dolphin. Yeah, I like the water, and I like helping and protecting things, and when the dolphin needs to go, it can go, bro. It can take out a shark. Yeah, so yeah, how's that?
Good, man. Good. Two more. Describe the purpose of MMA to someone from another planet.
Oh man. Just the ultimate, I'd say, maybe not MMA, but maybe the competition in general, just the ultimate one-on-one test, bar none. Put one guy in a room with another guy, see who comes out on top. The person who's trained the most mixed martial arts is probably the one who's going to come out on top. So and I guess rewind 100 years ago, bro, that guy would probably become emperor of the world. Shucks. So yeah, just the ultimate control over your body and mind, bro.
Cool. Perfect, man. Last one is one I've asked a couple of the guys by Diamond, Dan, and Kai, I think. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized Francis Ngannou's or 1 10-foot tall size Francis Ngannou?
Bring on the ducks, bro. Bring on the ducks.
Everyone reckons they can take the ducks. It's 100 of them.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, but there's duck ducks, bro. But some of the boys wouldn't mind having a go against Francis, bro. But hey, man, we were talking about brain injury earlier, bro. That's next level brain injury.
That's it. Actually, Blood Diamond mentioned he'd take the duck, the big one, could just get it over with quicker. He does reckon he can take the 100 duck size ones. Yeah. Anyway, bro, we've got to an hour already. That was kind of what I was hoping to get to, but really I've got a lot of things I want to talk to you about in the future. If I can get you at some other time to talk about, like, just interested in the, New Zealand coaching history and, the background, the Pacific Islanders sort of fighting spirit and things like that. If you have time, if you don't mind, I'd like to catch you again in a couple of months or something.
Excellent, brother. No, sounds good, man.
Cool. Perfect, man. Thanks for your time, man. Ka kitea. I'll talk to you sooner.
Excellent. Toby. You have a good day or night, whatever it is over there, bro.
Yeah, it's a
thanks.
day,
Appreciate having us on. And I look forward to you getting Gareth on here as well, bro. Excellent.
True. When we aim for that, get both you guys on. That'd be perfect. Yeah.
Sounds good, brother.
All right, bro. Thanks, man.